Well, the NBA draft is going to take place this Wednesday and Thursday up at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Should be a big time for a lot of guys who are getting the calls now to go to the green room. Though Zach Edey from Purdue has decided to stay back with his friends and his family and to celebrate there. But David, as you look ahead to the NBA draft here in 2024, who are some of the ACC players that fans should keep an ear and eye on as they come across their TV sets coming up this week?
Yeah, Mike, whether people are watching and listening before that draft starts or maybe they're just catching up to us after that draft has already taken place, a couple important things to remember, because wherever these guys end up getting selected, the Atlantic Coast Conference has a prominent place in the NBA, and I mean historically and also modern times. What league has the all-time record for the most first-round picks in a single year? It's the Atlantic Coast Conference. Back in 2017, the ACC had 10 first-round picks, which is just an insane number. 2 years later, the ACC tied its own record with 10 first-round picks. There's only 30, Mike, and 10 of the 30 came from the ACC in 2017 and in 2019. I'm not sure it's pure coincidence, by the way, that the ACC also produced the national champions in those years. It was Carolina in 2017. It was UVA in 2019. You know how they say playing with and against the toughest competition can sharpen your knife, so to speak, for when you need to be at your best during March Madness. Those were locked and loaded with NBA talent, ACC lineups in 2017 and 2019. Again, to me, they not mere coincidence that they set and tied the record for all-time first-round picks as a league in the same years that one of their members won the NCAA championship. This year, the number is not going to be quite that high. Remember, last year, it was only Duke's big man, Derek Lively, and Duke's freshman, Dariq Whitehead, who were first-round picks from the ACC just last year. That's an extraordinarily low number for the ACC, just like the 10 got to be extraordinarily high, or it wouldn't be the all-time record. This year, it's going to fall somewhere in between. The names to watch: my favorite guy from the ACC this year is Jared McCain, the freshman guard at Duke. I believe he's going to go in the lottery. At the very least, he's good, meaning top 14 picks. He's smart. He's a hard worker. He is an even-keeled guy who's a good teammate. He's, of course, a brilliant shooter, and everybody needs shooters. He's got some good size to him as well. Jared McCain, possibly first off the board from the ACC. His teammate at Duke, Kyle Filipowski, the sophomore big man, is also going to be a first-rounder, almost certainly. You don't find in a 7-footer very often at the college level somebody who can shoot a three-pointer to beat you, but also beat you off the dribble at 7 feet tall. Filipowski showed as a multi-time All-ACC player that he could do that at the college level. There are more of such guys in the NBA, of course, but they're few and far between in the world of basketball. So I think Filipowski and McCain, there's a chance those two Duke guys will be the first two off the board from the ACC. But I remind folks, Mike, NBA scouts do not look exclusively at what you've done. They look as much at what they think you can do. And that might sound ridiculous, but the reason I bring that up is someone like Keyshawn George, the freshman at Miami, you could be a fairly knowledgeable ACC basketball fan and say, who? And Keyshawn George did not make the all-freshman team, the 5 guys who get voted onto that team in their first year of college basketball. Bub Carrington of Pitt, remember, was on that all-freshman team. You'd be more aware of him because he was Pitt's best player, I would argue. I mean, Blake Hinson was another good one. But Bub Carrington, I think, is going to be a first-round NBA draft pick after leaving Pitt as a one-and-done player for Jeff Capel and the Panthers, because he has point guard skills in a pretty big 6'5"-ish body, and he's still a very young player with lots of growth potential. There's a chance he's a first-rounder from the ACC. But I brought up Keyshawn George. He wasn't the first, second, or third best college player for the Miami Hurricanes. Again, he didn't even make the ACC's all-freshman team, much less a freshman All-American team. But through the eyes of the NBA, again, they're not looking just at what you've done. They're looking at your skill set, what they believe you can grow into. Keyshawn George has length, has skill, has some shooting ability, and has a chance to go in the first round of this year's draft. He was a one-and-done player for the Miami Hurricanes. Virginia's forward Ryan Dunn, one of the best defensive players in the entire country. I know this might sound strange to some because he's not a guy who averaged even like 10 points a game for the Cavaliers. He is an offensively limited player. When you're that brilliant defensively and you have the size and wingspan that a Ryan Dunn has and has shown at UVA, there's a chance you'll be a first-round pick. It'd be latter first round, probably. Maybe he falls into the second round. But just because somebody averages, you might think, well, he only averaged 8 points a game in college. How good could he possibly be in the NBA? When you get a little later in the NBA draft, they're looking for role players. And even if you're not a well-rounded, beautiful player in every category, if they think you can be a defensive stopper, even late in the first round, somebody might take a flyer on you. So keep Ryan Dunn in mind. Virginia's veteran guard, Reese Beekman, also brilliant defensively. He's probably not going to be a first-rounder, but he may be drafted. This year's the first time, by the way, that first round is on the Wednesday night. The second round is on a Thursday night. They broke it up for the first time. The NBA is pretty good at that marketing thing. And the NBA draft, for those who don't know, is a TV juggernaut, not to the size of the NFL draft, but some of the most popular leagues in the world turn even non-games into big TV events, and the NBA draft is a great example of that. So Jared McCain, Kyle Filipowski, Bub Carrington of Pitt, Keyshawn George of Miami, Ryan Dunn of UVA, Harrison Ingram, the guy who turned pro after that 1 year at Carolina, 3 years of college. He could go in the first round, could fall into the second round. We'll see. But he has a great chance of sticking on an NBA roster. Remember, Hunter Salas decided to stay at Wake Forest. Jameer Watkins decided to stay at Florida State. So you will not see their names in this year's NBA draft. If you want to expand the ACC conversation just a hair, a guy from the University of California, Jalen Tyson, would have been an ACC player because the Bears, of course, are arriving this summer. He decided to turn pro early instead, so you will not see him as an ACC guy. You may see him as a first-round pick, maybe a second-round pick, Jalen Tyson of the Cal Bears. Beyond that, you have P.J.